Imagine a world where the oceans go silent, where the bustling underwater cities of coral reefs lay deserted, and the vast blue expanse becomes a ghost town. Sounds like a bad sci-fi movie, right? But here's the kicker. It could be our reality in less than a quarter of a century if overfishing continues. Overfishing is a process where vessels catch fish faster than stocks can replenish, altering the balance of life in our oceans. In the past 50 years, the number of overfished stocks worldwide has tripled, and today 1/3 of the world's assessed fisheries are pushed beyond their biological limits, as reported by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. This problem is intricately linked to bycatch, which refers to the unintentional capture of untargeted sea life during fishing for a different species. This poses a serious threat to marine life, causing the unnecessary loss of billions of, along with hundreds of thousands of sea turtles and cetaceans. But the effects of overfishing aren't limited to the underwater world. Billions of people depend on fish for protein, and fishing is the principal livelihood for millions around the globe. There are many individuals who earn their living catching, selling and buying fish, and they're working to improve how the world manages and conserves ocean resources. WWF is collaborating with a diverse group of stakeholders to reform fisheries management on a global scale, with a focus on sustainable practices that not only preserve ecosystems but also maintain livelihoods and ensure food security. Overfishing, the real Jaws sequel, nobody asked for. This is the grim reality of more than 1/3 of all sharks, rays and chimeras, fish related to sharks and rays, who are now facing the brink of extinction due to overfishing. This shocking revelation comes from a recent study re-evaluating their IUCN Red List of threatened species extinction risk status. It's high time that governments and regional fisheries bodies intervene and put a stop to this overfishing, thereby avoiding a global extinction crisis. A startling discovery made by experts indicates a doubling in the number of threatened species since the initial global survey in 2014. Not only this, but the count of endangered and critically endangered species has multiplied more than threefold. An alarming factor is that 3 species are now classified as possibly extinct, with no sightings recorded for an average of 80 years. Overfishing is eroding virtually all threatened sharks and rays populations. The situation is further exacerbated by habitat loss, destruction and climate crisis, intensifying risks and affecting 1 in 3 and 1 in 10 species, respectively. Now, imagine the ripple effects. It's like dropping a stone in a pond, but instead of ripples, we get a tsunami of problems. Systemic overfishing is exacerbated by illegal catches and trade. Shockingly, some of the most severe ocean impacts are due to rampant illegal fishing, which is estimated at up to 30% of catch or more for high-value species. It is assessed that illegal, unreported and unregulated IUU fishing yields criminals a massive $36.4 billion each year. These illegal catches navigate through murky supply chains due to the absence of systems to trace fish from catch to consumer, a process as traceability, and import controls in much of the sector. Subsidies, or support given to the fishing industry to offset operational costs, are another principal driver of overfishing. Subsidies can lead to an excess of fishing vessels and a distortion of production costs, enabling fishing operations to continue even when they would otherwise be economically unviable. Today's global fishing fleet is estimated to be up to 2.5 times the capacity needed to catch what we actually require. The United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development has made a call for putting a stop to harmful subsidies. But picture the fisherman. Picture the fishermen whose livelihoods have been passed down through generations, suddenly finding their nets as empty as my fridge on a Monday morning. This is the stark reality of overfishing, a practice that impacts entire ecosystems. Overfishing can change the size of fish remaining, the way they reproduce, and the speed at which they mature. When too many fish are taken of the ocean, it creates an imbalance that can erode the food web and lead to a loss of other important marine life, including vulnerable species like sea turtles and corals. Decreasing food and economic security, demand for fish continues to increase around the world. Accordingly, more businesses and jobs are becoming dependent on dwindling stocks. As one of the most highly traded food commodities, fish fuels a $362 billion global industry. Millions of people in largely developing coastal communities depend on the fishing industry for their livelihood. Half the world's population relies on fish as a major source of protein. When fish disappear, jobs and coastal economies follow suit. The high demand for seafood continues to drive overexploitation and environmental degradation, exacerbating this circular problem. Imagine the coastal communities that depend on the fishing industry for survival, facing the grim prospect of mass starvation. Think about the tuna, a species so overfished that the European Union aims to catch an astronomical amount of it every year. It's like a high-stakes game of hide and seek, and the tuna are losing. If we don't put a stop to this perilous game, it could lead to the extinction of not just tuna, but countless other species. But this is not just a tale of doom and gloom, it's a call to arms, a plea for help from the depths of the sea. It's like the Little Mermaid, but instead of wanting legs, they want us to stop fishing. This story needs to be told and heard, but more importantly, there's an urgent need for action. Yet, amidst the chaos and destruction, there is still hope. It's like finding a lifeboat on the Titanic. There exist solutions, paths we can tread to reverse the devastating effects overfishing. Sustainable fishing methods, stricter regulations, and a global shift towards responsible consumption can collectively work towards reinstating the balance in our oceans. So, what can you do? Start by making conscious choices about the seafood you consume. It's like voting, but for fish. Choose sustainably caught fish, support local fishermen, and advocate for stronger fishing regulations. Every small action can contribute to a larger wave of change. The time to act is now. Ours are crying out for help, and it's up us to answer their call. It's like the bat signal, but for fish. Because a planet devoid of fish is not just a planet without, it's a planet lacking equilibrium, lacking biodiversity, and ultimately a planet devoid of life as we comprehend it. Let's not wait for the silence of the oceans to understand the grave consequences of our actions. It's like waiting for a bad report card to start studying. Let's not wait for the day when our children look at pictures of fish in books and ask what happened to them. Remember, the future of our oceans, and indeed our planet, is in our hands. Let's make sure we don't drop the ball. Thank you for being a part of this journey. And remember, sharing is caring. So share this video, subscribe, and let's get this message out there. Start a dialogue, make a difference. Because together we can ensure the survival of our oceans and the countless species they're home to. And hey, who knows, maybe hit 100+ subscribers and I'll finally get that promotion.